Good afternoon, everyone out in Radio Land. My name is Dan Redig here on the Real Men of Real Estate. Today, we're the third Sunday, 1 p.m. on KCAA Radio. You can find us at 1050 AM, 106.5 FM, and on all of your popular podcast and streaming platforms. So we've been talking with Michael here about his journey into real estate, how he became a wholesaler, what went wrong, and a lot of the things that he had to overcome. And it's a lot of personal information, Michael. Thanks for sharing so much. So to solve the problems you just described to us, you had to kind of figure a lot of things out, but it's not how to be a better wholesaler that you had to figure out. So what was going on, throughout this journey?
Throughout this journey, one of the biggest things that I've learned on is you really need to fix you more than
Okay.
anything.
What does that mean?
Well, what I mean by that is if you are not prepared for this, or and some people are not prepared for a lot of things.
Yeah.
But if you don't change your mindset and the way on how you think and how you process and how you go about a certain objective or goal, then anyone can say is, hey, I'm gonna climb Mount Everest, but it looks scary. It's like,
Sure.
okay, well, how are you gonna tackle that?
Right. And is it really scary, right? What's the actual problem, right?
One is figuring out what the problem is.
Yeah.
And that's the hardest thing, because you realize is, for me, like my problem was that I was my own worst enemy. It wasn't the people, saying, "Oh, why would you do that? That's stupid." And there was a lot of people who were saying that, and I pay them no mind.
Yeah.
It was okay. Here is a big thing that I need to overcome. How do I mentally prepare for that? And as I started getting around like-minded people, they're just like, okay, if you have a problem, well, how do you solve it? Who are you going to be around? You're going to be around. How do you tackle this? It's not about when, or it's not about the problem itself. It's how, what solutions and systems are you going to use to overcome that? Because anyone can go, I'll just use this as an analogy, as anyone can go run a marathon.
Okay. Yeah.
Anyone can go run a marathon.
At various speeds, yes.
Yeah, at various speeds. You can walk it, you can run it, you can sprint it if you're really good.
Yeah, right.
But what are you doing to prepare yourself, to train yourself to get there? What steps are you taking? It's like, okay, well, do you run, walk, certain miles a day to prepare yourself, so you actually will get used to that, to getting your muscles work? Because after a while, you're gonna realize, like, oh, hey, stuff is going to come up.
Sure.
Problems as far as like cramps, but
that's all the fears and things that we accumulated during childhood suddenly show up, right?
Yeah, that's for running. But as far as for my journey, it was having that self-doubt, like, okay, did you get in over your head? Is this something that can you really do this? Right. And that was very hard. It's like, okay, well, if I'm going to do that, how do I go about doing this? And you realize if you just put down do one thing a day, eventually you'll get there. Just like if you want to build a wall, you just lay one brick a day, and eventually you'll have a wall.
Right. Small bets.
Yeah, small bets, small wins. And sometimes a lot of people can't see the progression in the journey on what you do, and they're just like, man, and they'll harp down on themselves.
Right.
So one of the things that
it's easy to get negative when that's going on, right?
Yes, and that's why you definitely need to surround yourself with people who are positive. Like, Mike, you got going. You can keep going. What are you doing? Or like, man, I'm just things are not really working out too well. Like, okay, well, what's the problem? Well, have you ever tried of doing it this? Like, oh, I didn't think about that. Surrounding
Gotcha.
yourself with, people who are positive. Surroundings is definitely a big key factor.
Okay.
Because if you're around negative people all day, they're just going to give you negative information and negative thoughts.
Yeah. Right.
Around positive people, they're going to give you positive feedback and positive.
Mm-hmm. And they're going to support the things that you do that maybe other people don't think are possible.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the hardest part I've had going through this stuff too, is the family and friends don't think what you're doing can be done.
And working on yourself is probably the most important thing, because if you do, and what I say is, everyone says the mind is a very powerful tool, but there is no way to gauge that. And I think that's what the problem is. People don't understand how powerful the mind is. As far as with electricity, electrical box, 1,000 volts, don't touch. Okay.
Right.
Lightning bolt, no, I'm not accurate, but I'm just going to use this as an analogy, 200,000 volts. And okay, you can gauge that. You know how powerful that is. But there's nothing to gauge the mind. So once you have the mindset and you realize you can do stuff, and once you start overcoming things, then you realize on how powerful it is.
Right.
And how resilient and how far you can go.
Got it. Okay. So you went through the process of figuring all that stuff out so that you could apply it to your dream.
Yes.
That's pretty powerful. So we're unfortunately going to have to go for the day. The show's almost over, but this story is really personal, and you've shared a lot of details about how you've struggled through this to succeed at it now. If people want to hear more about your story, or maybe they've got a property that they would be interested in selling, if you could solve some of their problems, how can folks get a hold of you?
Yeah, you can reach me by email at mockinvestors, mocinvestors@gmail.com, or you can give me a call, shoot me a text. This is my personal number at 931-237-6982.
Awesome. Thanks, man. Well, Michael, thanks for being my guest today. It's truly a pleasure to have you here and hear more about your story. And for KCAA Radio and the Real Men of Real Estate, tune in next time, and I'll talk to you all soon.